Hey there, I'm Arnold, just your typical 32-year-old guy working my tail off as a construction manager. My wife, Diana, she's this incredible elementary school teacher, and we've been happily married for 3 years now. Everything was going great, especially with our first baby on the way. We were over the moon. But then, there's Victoria, Diana's mom. Man, where do I even begin? Victoria is like a whirlwind of opinions, always spinning out of control. She's in her mid-50s, but acts like she's royalty or something. Every time she barges into our place unannounced, it's like the whole vibe shifts. Arnold, that crib is all wrong. The baby will never sleep in that, she'd declare, like she knew everything. I tried to keep my cool. Victoria, we picked this crib carefully. It's safe and comfortable. Oh, please. What do you know about babies? I raised Diana, didn't I? She'd snap back, as if that sealed the deal. Diana, ever the peacemaker, would step in. Mom, we appreciate your help, but we've got this under control. But Victoria? She'd bulldoze right over us. Nonsense. You need my help. Now let's talk about those nursery colors. That yellow is hideous. It felt like nothing we did was right in her eyes, from our jobs to how we arranged throw pillows. And don't even get me started on her so-called expert opinions on raising kids. You'd think she wrote the Bible on parenting. As Diana's due date drew near, Victoria went from overbearing to downright suffocating. She started showing up daily, arms full of baby gear we never asked for, and advice we definitely didn't want. One day, Diana finally said, "Mom, please. We need some space." Space? You need me more than ever right now. Who else is going to show you how to swaddle a baby properly? She huffed. I couldn't take it anymore. Victoria, we appreciate your concern. But we're the parents here. We need to figure some things out on our own. Figure things out? You'll ruin that child before it's even born. She shot back. It was like talking to a brick wall, an incredibly loud and opinionated brick wall. The tension was getting to us. Diana and I were arguing more, stressed out by her mom's constant presence. We were supposed to be enjoying this time, you know? And then, out of the blue, Diana's water broke, 3 weeks early. We scrambled to get to the hospital, and I was trying to keep her calm. It's okay, honey. Everything's going to be fine. Just breathe, remember. But like clockwork, Victoria showed up. I'm coming with you. You'll need me there. Victoria, please, we want this moment to ourselves, I pleaded, but she wasn't having it. Don't be ridiculous. I'm her mother. I have to be there, she insisted. So there we were, speeding to the hospital. Diana in pain, me freaking out, and Victoria in the backseat rattling off a list of do's and don'ts like we were taking a parenting exam. This should have been our moment, but instead, it felt like Victoria was stealing it from us. Little did we know, this was just the beginning. In the delivery room, things were intense. Diana was a warrior, pushing through the pain like a champ. When our son, Ethan, finally arrived, red-faced and crying, I felt this rush of love I can't even put into words. He's perfect, I whispered, squeezing Diana's hand. He's too small, Victoria muttered from the corner. Diana, didn't I tell you to eat more protein? I ignored her, focusing on my son and my amazing wife. You did incredible, honey. He's beautiful. The nurse handed Ethan to Diana and asked if she wanted to try feeding him. Before Diana could answer, Victoria butted in. Oh, she doesn't know how. Let me show her the right way. Thankfully, the nurse wasn't having any of it. Ma'am, let's give the new parents some time alone with their baby. The next few days felt like living in a pressure cooker. Victoria was everywhere, criticizing everything. You're holding him wrong, she'd bark at me. That's not how you change a diaper, she'd tell Diana. The nurses even started giving us these sympathetic looks, like they knew exactly what we were dealing with. One nurse, Sarah, pulled me aside and whispered, Is she always like this? I sighed. Unfortunately, yeah, we're trying to manage. Sarah patted my arm. Hang in there. You're doing great. By day 3, Diana and I were beyond exhausted. The sleepless nights, the constant criticism, it was wearing us down. I'm gonna grab a coffee, I told Diana. Do you need anything? She shook her head, half asleep. Just some peace and quiet, she muttered. I chuckled and kissed her forehead. I'll see what I can do about that. I was gone for maybe 15 minutes. When I got back, the hospital was in chaos. Alarms blared and security guards were rushing around. Confused, I grabbed a passing nurse. What's going on? I asked. Her eyes widened when she saw me. Are you Ethan's father? You need to come with me now, she said, her voice urgent. My heart dropped. Is he okay? What happened? She led me to the nursery, where I saw a sight that froze me in place. Victoria being restrained by security, while Ethan was in the arms of a nurse, wailing. A police officer approached. Sir, we need to ask you some questions, the officer said. Your mother-in-law attempted to remove your son from a hospital without authorization. I couldn't believe it. She what? The officer continued. She claimed she was taking him home because she believes you and your wife are unfit to be parents. Fortunately, a nurse recognized her as your mother-in-law and stopped her before she could leave. It felt like a nightmare. Where's my wife? Does Diana know? I asked, trying to steady myself. Your wife is still asleep, Sarah, the nurse from earlier replied gently. We didn't want to wake her until we had more information. I nodded, my mind spinning. I need to call the police. We're already here, sir, the officer said. We'll need statements from both you and your wife. I glanced over at Victoria, now seated, guarded by security. She met my eyes, showing no remorse, just anger and defiance. I was only trying to protect him, she shouted. They don't know what they're doing. I turned away from her, focusing on Ethan. The nurse handed him to me and I held him close, my heart racing. It's okay, buddy, I whispered softly. Daddy's got you. You're safe. As I stood there, comforting my son, I knew in my gut that our lives had just changed forever. This wasn't just about an overbearing mother-in-law anymore. This was something far, far worse. The next few days passed in a whirlwind. I watched in disbelief as Victoria was led away in handcuffs, still shouting that she was just trying to protect Ethan. The police swarmed around us, asking questions and taking statements. Mr. Johnson, we found something disturbing. Detective Martinez told me. Your mother-in-law had a fully prepared nursery at her home. This wasn't spur of the moment. I felt sick. She'd been planning this. The detective nodded. We found receipts, baby supplies, even a crib. When I told Diana, she broke down. How could she do this? She's my mother, she cried, and I held her as she trembled. I don't know, honey, but we'll get through this together, I said, trying to be strong for both of us. The bail hearing was another nightmare. Victoria stood there, looking more irritated than remorseful. Her lawyer argued, Your Honor, my client was acting out of concern for her grandchild. The prosecutor fired back, Concern doesn't justify attempted kidnapping, Your Honor. In the end, Victoria was granted bail, but with strict conditions, no contact with us or Ethan. It was a small relief, but the decision to press charges weighed heavily, especially on Diana. She's still my mom, Arnold. What if this ruins her life? Diana asked, torn. I took her hand. Honey, she tried to ruin ours. We have to protect Ethan. The strain on Diana was obvious. She'd cry randomly, torn between her love for her mother and her fury over what Victoria had done. Then came the fallout with family and friends. Some supported us, while others, like Diana's Aunt Karen, defended Victoria. You're overreacting, Aunt Karen said. Victoria was just trying to help. But then, Diana's sister, Emily, came forward with something shocking. During a tense family meeting, she asked, Di, remember when I ran away at 16? Diana nodded. Yeah, you were being rebellious. Emily shook her head. No, I was escaping Mom. She was suffocating me, controlling every aspect of my life. She went through my things, monitored my calls. Once, she even followed me on a date. As Emily continued sharing more stories, I saw Diana's face change. Recognition dawned on her. Memories she'd buried were coming back. Oh God, Diana whispered, her voice breaking. She ruined my prom dress because she didn't like my date. And that time she forgot to mail my college applications to schools she didn't approve of. It was heartbreaking to watch, but also in a way a relief. Diana was finally seeing the truth when it was finally time to bring Ethan home. We were both nervous wrecks. I had installed a top-of-the-line security system with cameras and new locks on every door. Is this really necessary? Diana asked, glancing at the alarms. I nodded, my face serious. I'm not taking any chances with our son's safety. As we settled Ethan into his crib that first night, Diana turned to me with a shaky voice. Arnold, I think we need help. Professional help to deal with all of this. I pulled her into a tight hug. I think you're right. We'll find a therapist, someone who can help us process everything. Looking down at our sleeping son, I felt a swirl of emotions: love, fear, and determination. We're going to get through this, Diana. We'll make our family stronger. Victoria won't win. I promise you that. Months flew by, and suddenly, we found ourselves sitting in a courtroom, watching Victoria's trial unfold. The prosecution built a damning case. Hospital staff recounted that terrifying day in vivid detail. She told me she was the baby's mother, testified Nurse Sarah. When I questioned her, she became aggressive. Victoria's lawyer tried to spin it. My client was acting out of love and concern, he argued. But the prosecutor was having none of it. Premeditated kidnapping isn't love. It's a crime. Watching Victoria on the stand was surreal. She painted a picture of us as neglectful, exaggerating everything. They didn't even have the right diapers, she exclaimed. And Arnold, he held the baby like a football. I gripped Diana's hand tightly, trying to stay calm. But then the bombshells dropped. Victoria's former coworker took the stand. She'd go through our desks, try to control our lunch orders. Once, she even hid my project files because she didn't like my approach. The real shock came when Victoria's ex-husband testified. She manipulated the kids, turned them against me. Nothing I did was ever good enough. Throughout it all, Diana and I focused on healing. Therapy was tough but essential. During one session, Diana admitted, "I feel guilty, like I should have seen this coming." Our therapist leaned forward gently. "You're not responsible for your mother's actions, Diana." We also joined a support group for new parents, which helped more than I expected. "Sometimes I'm scared to even leave Ethan's room," I confessed during one meeting. Another dad nodded in understanding. "I get it, man. But we can't let fear control us." Life went on. I threw myself into work and eventually landed a promotion. Diana found her own path to healing. "I'm writing a children's book," she told me one night, her face soft with emotion. "It's about family, love, and trust. Things I wish I understood earlier." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the verdict came in. Guilty. 5 years in prison, plus mandatory psychiatric treatment. As they led Victoria out in handcuffs, she tried to catch Diana's eye. "Diana, please, I'm sorry. I was only trying to help." Diana turned away, her voice steady. "Goodbye, Mother. Don't contact us again." Months later, we celebrated Ethan's first birthday. Our house was full of laughter, surrounded by real friends and family who supported us. As we watched Ethan smash his cake, Diana leaned into me. "We made it, Arnold." "We're okay," she whispered. I kissed her forehead, watching our happy, healthy son. "More than okay. We're stronger now." Later that evening, after everyone had left and Ethan was asleep, Diana and I stood together in his room. She looked at him and whispered, "Sometimes I still can't believe everything that happened." I nodded, pulling her close. "Me neither. But look at us now. Look at him." Ethan snoozed peacefully, safe and loved. We'd been through hell, but we came out the other side, stronger than ever. As we closed Ethan's door, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Our future was bright, free from Victoria's toxic influence. It hadn't been easy, but it was worth it. Now I've got a question for you. If you were in Diana's shoes, could you ever forgive Victoria for trying to kidnap your newborn, even after years have passed? Or would you, like Diana, cut ties permanently? It's a tough one, isn't it? Family bonds run deep, but so does the need to protect your child. What would you do? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear where you stand. And if you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to hit that like button. If you want more stories like this, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.